Hello fellow digital nomads and other travelers. Are you interested in going to Bansko? If yes, you came to the right place because we're gonna give you some great tips about it. Welcome to the Digital Nomad Guide to... Being a small village in the Pyrenees Mountains and only 2.5 hours away driving from Sofia, Bansko can be the perfect getaway, especially if you're into winter sports and hiking.
It's remote enough so you don't feel overwhelmed by the bustle of a big city, but it's also close to a major one, so it's kind of the perfect balance. Bansko is an amazing summer destination and you can come here and hike all summer long. There's a lot of really nice hikes around in the mountains, and if you're more into winter sports, then Bansko has more than 70 kilometers of slopes, so it's a great destination all year round.
Yep. Bansko appears on the Digital Nomad map because of the Coworking Bansko, which has dozens of active members at any given month, so we thought it would be nice to check it out and see if it's a good destination for us digital nomad. We spent 2 months here in the height of winter and we have amazing tips for you.
Bansko, being in Bulgaria, should be cheaper than any other European resort. However, compared to Bulgarian prices, Bansko is pretty expensive, which is influenced by the masses of tourists who come streaming in, especially during wintertime. If you're used to European ski prices, then Bansko will be cheaper for you, but again, it's much more expensive than the rest of Bulgaria. So be prepared to pay more and get less quality for your money.
Airbnb prices look terribly inflated here in Bansko, especially in the winter season. The apartments don't look that good and the asking price is about 5 times what it should be. You will find Airbnb prices for more than 500 or 600 euros and they don't even look that good, so we do not suggest Airbnb for this village one bit.
When it comes to co-livings in Bansko, there isn't really one, but Coworking Bansko has a massive list of people renting out their places for much better prices. So if you're coming here even for a week, a month, or even want to rent something for a whole year, you should refer to their list, which is very comprehensive, and the people there also know how to communicate with nomads, so most of them speak in English. So definitely if you're coming here for any period of time, get in touch with Coworking Bansko and they will give you their list of contacts. The prices for these apartments move around 150 to 200 euros, and it really doesn't matter which season it is, although in wintertime it tends to be more expensive, but generally the prices should be around 200 euros max per month.
If you come to the village and you really like it, you might consider buying a place because the prices here are quite cheap for apartments. You can get a studio for around 15,000 euros, but don't expect a lot of luxuries and please research it before because sometimes they have some hidden extra fees. It's Bulgarian yogurt. It's the best.
So the grocery situation in Bansko is not ideal and the stores aren't really that well stocked and most of them are more expensive than you would be used to since it's a tourist destination. So what we suggest is going to Lidl, which is located in the next village, which is about 5 kilometers away, and it's extremely well stocked. They have a lot of produce, it's quite cheap, and people from the co-working or other nomads team up to go there on the weekends or anytime during the week to stock up on some food.
Also check out this tea market right here, it's in front of Lidl. They do have some cheaper stuff sometimes and they also have grilled chicken and other takeaway food.
Another great alternative to getting your food is going to the local markets, which in Bansko are pretty great. They happen every Sunday from about 9 a.m. until 1, and you can expect to find locals from the surrounding villages coming here selling their produce. In summertime, obviously, they have a lot of veggies as well, but in the winter, when we came, it was mostly dairy products, so we ended up buying a lot of milk, fresh eggs, cheeses, and things like this, and they were generally cheaper or the same price as the supermarket produce, but of course of much higher quality. So if you're looking to budget your groceries in Bansko, we can give you our estimate, which was around 300 euros for 2 people per month. And that excludes going to restaurants or cafes. So this was purely just groceries, shopping in Lidl and at the market.
Now, restaurants in Bansko are quite touristy. They do look nice. Some of them have quite the Bulgarian style and even maybe serve some nice food, but the prices are a bit overpriced and the quality sometimes is not the best. We're not really into this kind of touristy plates, but we do have a few tips for you. The first one is called Kancheto and is located in the city center close to the coworking. The food here is so-so, but it's definitely where the locals go and eat, so some days you can find some really good food in there. A typical lunch there, they have a menu just for lunch, costs around 4 levs. If you're going for dinner, it should be around double that, 8 levs. This dish, chicken and rice, €1.90. You can't get cheaper than that. The other one, it's also close to the coworking and is called Yanitza. They do have some really nice food and they have a buffet just for the coworking at lunchtime and it costs around $6.50.
Less.
But the best restaurant of them all, it's actually not located in Bansko. If you venture a little bit outside of this village, 5 kilometers into Razlog, you will find a marvelous Italian restaurant called Casa Di Papi. I'm not kidding, this is one of the best pizzas I ever ate outside of Italy. They have ravioli, they have pizza, they have all this amazing Italian goodness and the prices are very accessible. A pizza costs around 7 euros and the other prices are not much more than that. So definitely, if you have a car or if you manage to get some public transportation here, check Casa Di Papi because it's worth it.
Getting to Bansko is pretty straightforward. Most people from the coworking opt for transfers, which you can get straight from the airport, and you can either have a private one or share it with some other people. Although we don't think this is necessary as it's pretty simple getting to Bansko from Sofia. There's quite regular buses and they take about 2 hours. They're also quite cheap, so if you're looking to budget your transport, this is definitely the best option.
If you're coming from Sofia by bus, this is the station you will arrive here in Bansko.
If you know that you're going to be needing a car in Bansko, you might as well get one for yourself on the airport and drive yourself all the way here. The prices for rental cars are much cheaper in Sofia, so definitely do not get a car in Bansko, it will cost you much more. So the public transport system in Bansko is non-existent and the only buses that run through it are the ones going from and to Sofia. You might hop on these and they're pretty cheap, but there's not that many of them during the day and they're also pretty crowded.
You also have the shuttle buses, but those are specific for the hotel, so if you're not staying in a hotel, I'm not sure you can take those. Not that you're gonna need trains to get around Bansko, but here is quite a beautiful surprise that we found. It's the last narrow narrow gauge train line that goes around the Piran Mountains. It's a beautiful travel you can do both in winter because everything is full of snow and also in the summer when everything is green. It passes through some beautiful villages in the mountains, so definitely save a Saturday or a Sunday to do this trip.
There's plenty of taxis in Bansko, although they're extremely overpriced, especially if you're coming from Sofia and you're used to very accessible taxi prices. The prices in Bansko might surprise you. They do charge at least twice as much as in Sofia, so even if you're taking a trip of a few kilometers, you will end up paying at least 7 or 8 euros.
Yeah, and they will try to scam you, so always remember to ask them to turn on the machine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Uber is non-existent here, so if you need a taxi, you really need to use the city ones. You can easily get around Bansko by bike. If you're coming during the summer months, check with the coworking because they do rent bikes for 50 levs a month, but there are also other alternatives. Just be careful because the drivers here are a bit...
In terms of walkability, Bansko is very walkable. It's not that big of a village, and even if you live at the edges of it, it's still gonna take you not much more than 20 or 25 minutes to get to the center, the coworking, or anywhere else you might need to. So where you're staying in Bansko depends on what you're coming here to do. So if you're looking primarily to crack down on work, it might be better to look for an accommodation that is very close to the coworking. And the coworking has two locations, one is in the city center and one is close to the skiing gondola. If you're coming in the winter time and hoping to ski as much as possible, then your best bet is going to be staying near the gondola, because you're going to have to start queuing up around 8:30 in the morning. However, this part of the village is also the ugliest, noisiest and most touristy one, so we do not suggest staying here if you're not particularly a skier or a snowboarder. If you do come in summer, the whole village is much more calmer. There's not that many tourists here, so you could stay next to the gondola. It's not going to be much of a noise problem. But again, Bansko is not that large, so it doesn't really matter where you stay. You're still going to be in walkable distance to either the coworking, the bars or the ski.
We do like to work from cafes and coffee shops, but here in Bansko we cannot find them. The village is catered towards tourism and there's really not nice cafes to work from. There aren't. But we got lucky. In the next village in Razlov we did find a nice little place called Sprinkles, and they do have amazing cakes and cheap cappuccinos, and you can work from there with no problem. But they don't have much plugs, so maybe take your computer charged.
So the whole reason why Bansko became such a digital nomad destination is Coworking Bansko, and there are a lot of people coming here just for that. Coworking Bansko is the only coworking in Bansko, and they do have a few locations and opening new ones very soon. Pricing for the day is 15 euros, for a month is 129, and for a whole year is 1,000 euros. And surprisingly, quite a lot of people actually pick this option as they set up a base here. We signed up to the coworking for 1 month and we went to the central location a few times a week. In terms of the social events happening here, it's pretty great. There's stuff going on almost every day of the week, and people do organize quite a lot of things themselves. Our favorite thing was game night, which happens every Monday, and the coworking has an amazing collection of board games. So even if you're not really into board games, you might find yourself surprised how great of an activity it actually is.
What are we playing today?
Bears versus babies.
Other activities include movie nights, ski days and hot spring evenings.
Well, we did like the social aspect of the community, and there's certainly a lot of people to meet here. What we didn't really enjoy was the actual space of the coworking, and this again depends on what kind of working environment you like for yourself. We prefer our workspace to have a lot of natural light and some fresh air, which unfortunately Coworking Bansko doesn't really have. There's a lot of people in there and the air tends to get really stuffy. The biggest part of the coworking is also in the basement, which doesn't really appeal to us that much.
The only way to connect with other digital nomads here is via the coworking. You will not be allowed to join the online Facebook groups if you're not in the coworking, and even you cannot join their events.
So if you're the kind of person who likes more freedom in terms of their work and social life, Bansko might not be the best place for you. Although if you are the kind of person who likes to work from a coworking daily, then it's kind of perfect because you automatically get access to a massive community with a lot of events. So as we said, Bansko is a great destination for people who like to stay active. You can come here to ski in the winter and hike in the summertime. There's also plenty of natural hot springs around and they make quite a good activity for a winter evening. You can also take a few day trips to beautiful monasteries in the village or even visit the nice museums in Bansko itself.
Also check out the viewpoint in the next village, Razlog, because it's quite a view from up there. And here is the start of the path all the way to the viewpoint in Razlog. You can fill up your water bottle here, totally safe to drink, and then you go up the stairs, 400 steps all the way to the top. Let's go! Bloody hell, it just keeps on going. And we finally arrived all the way up here. I cannot say it was easy, but this view is worth every step. Just look at that view.
The Bulgarian cuisine is very tasty, so you should definitely try and taste as much of it as possible when you're here. In Bansko, there are plenty of the restaurants serve traditional Bulgarian cuisine, so it's not going to be that hard. You should definitely try some banitas, some sirene po-shopski, or some traditional meatballs.
Also check out rakia, the national drink, and try the beers because they do have a lot and they're good. Also try this drink called boza. It's fermented rye and everybody drinks it here, especially with the banitsa. So let's try it for the first time. Oh. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I really don't like it.
Ooh, that's very sweet. That's disgusting.
Yes.
Let's give it to the cats.
Now to go out, we actually didn't do much of that because we're not into this touristy scene, but you do have a lot of places to have a drink or two, especially next to the gondola area.
Sport-wise, in Bansko, there's, as we said, plenty to do. If you come in the summertime, then you should check some hiking maps and trails. There's a lot of them to do. If you do come in the wintertime, you're probably coming here for skiing and snowboarding. And the prices here, as we mentioned previously, are lower than anywhere else in Europe. So for a daily pass for skiing in the wintertime, you will pay 70 levs. For 1 month, it's going to be 900 levs. And if you decide to buy a whole seasonal ticket, that's going to cost you 1,500 levs. If you don't have space to bring your own ski and snowboarding equipment, you can also rent it here, and it's not that expensive. It will cost you around 20 levs per day.
Another great activity to do here in Bansko, especially in the summer months, it's mountain biking, where you can rent some cool bikes and get around. If you like to work out indoors, Bansko has a few gyms you can check out, the biggest one being Pulse Fitness, that costs around 100 levs a month. So overall, definitely check out Bansko, especially if you're into sports, ski and snowboard, because the slopes here are very good and it's absolute steal compared to the other European ski slopes. Also during the summer times, hiking is the main activity here, so if you're into this kind of activities, check out Bansko. If not, maybe this is not the best place for you.
So yeah, overall, Bansko can get pretty boring if you're used to staying in big bustling cities, but if you're looking for a break from it all, this might be a nice place. Although the slopes are pretty great and there's many of them, there's also a ton of people coming here, so it does tend to get very, very crowded, so be prepared for that. It's definitely not a quiet resort.
Yeah, that being said, the coworking has a really great community and a lot of events, so if you're going to the coworking, you will not be alone for sure. So that was it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We did this Bansko guide with a lot of love just for you. Share it with your friends if you're interested. Give it one of these and see you somewhere around this beautiful world that we have. Ciao!